All right. All right. You up first. Introduce yourself, your name, and go from there.
I was walking the mic. No. I'm gonna walk the mic around.
Yeah. I was saying that to her.
Somebody at this table is gonna speak.
Somebody's gonna get this smoke.
There you go.
I wasn't prepared for this.
It doesn't have to be a roast. It can be just a toast. Just a positive word.
So therein lies my Uncle JK telling me to stand up like I was 10 years old. So I guess I'm going to stand up like I was 10 years old. Well, I guess I just want to say that, based on all of the accolades that I always hear, I never can fathom or imagine my Uncle JK being the man that he is. I just heard in the line people saying, I'm just so humbled that JK remembers who I am. And I'm just like, he's just Uncle JK. Just John.
We can say it. It's Kermit. All right?
Kermit
This is a
Haynes.
roast, goddammit. All right? We going to say it. I waited 20 years to find out what's your name. It's Kermit. John Kermit Haynes.
I didn't. For the longest. Now, mind you, he is named after his phenomenal father, John Kermit Haynes Sr., but Uncle JK never wanted to embrace the Kermit in his name. So my brother and I would always call him Kermit the Frog. And he absolutely hated that. But no, I was a student at Spelman, and I would always fall asleep on his floor. Uncle JK would, he would hear me coming down the hall because I always had a place to lay my head, a shoulder to cry on when I didn't have my parents here with me. So I want to say, Uncle JK, I love you, love you, love you. And apparently all the people in this room love you just as much as I do. And we couldn't have asked for a better person to stand in your phenomenal shoes. And Granny Mama, that's who we call my grandmother, Granny Pops, my father, and all of our family are so proud of you, Auntie Carolyn. So bravo. I always tell people that he is never going to retire. I'm going to find him at his desk slumped over dead. And I think that's going to be true because he's never retiring because he loves each and every one of you. So thank you so much for taking care of him as much as we try to take care of him at home.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jay Delsart, and my husband, Louis Delsart, had the pleasure of teaching at Morehouse College in the art department, and he and Dr. Haynes were very, very good friends. My daughter, who is now a medical doctor, thanks to Dr. Haynes, he got her somehow, he and one of his colleagues got her in the Upward Bound program. And as you know, Upward Bound was not for professors' children who taught at Morehouse College. But he took an interest in my daughter from 8th grade all the way through medical school. And we are just so grateful. So it wasn't just at Morehouse College. It was all over the Atlanta University Center. And I remember a time when JK called me and he goes, "You'll need to talk to Rachel." And I said, "Well, what happened?" "She's way too sexy. Science and sexy doesn't go together." And I go, "Well, can't you just talk to her?" No. That is for her mother." So I just want to thank you, Carolyn, for your love. Louis is gone, but JK is still with our family, and now we have a new Morehouse man, my grandson, Case. And we just love you, and we thank you for each and everything that you've done, not just for your students at Morehouse College, but your students at Spelman. And most recently, I finished my doctoral degree at my age in November, I think, of this year. Thank you. I'm a practicing pharmacist, so of course I had to go back. I worked with a JED, nurturing the pharmacy students at Morehouse. So we have a long history with the school, but JK would always go, "So what are your grades like?" I was so smart, Dr. Drummond, I never ever told him. If it's not an A+, then I don't want to hear about it. At any rate, we just love you, and thank you so much.
I worked with JK from 2003, 2004 to 2015, and in my role of office for, what was it, research careers or something like that, we got students involved in research, and the key thing was, at least for a lot of the medical students who had medical interest, to get them involved in doing research so that they could pursue career opportunities, as Dr. Drummond has outlined. But a word about Dr. Cook. Dr. Cook was the most hardworking person at Morehouse. He would come in at 10 o'clock. He would come in and say up at the top of the morning to you, and then he'd sit down and gossip. He's about the most gossiping faculty person I knew, but it would make you feel at home, And but Dr. Cook always challenged his students to the point that sometimes I think he sat behind the desk, but if he could jump across that desk and grab some of you guys and choke you, he would do it. It was just, that's the function of the desk, to give some separation. But back to JK, he's done a lot of great things, and somebody told me, well, when he does great things, they're great, but when he does bad things, they're really bad. But I'm sort of reminded of Shakespeare's comment that the good of men is often interred with their bones, and the bad lives after. JK is one of those persons who's going to flip down on the script. Whatever that's salty about him, he has impacted the lives of so many men, so many students, so many aspiring scientists, physicians, whatever the case, that it will overshadow whatever his missteps have been, because at the heart of what he does is his heart, and we have to commend him for that. And congratulations to JK. And Carolyn, congratulations for you for putting up with him for all these years.
Yes, ma'am.
I met JK in 1964 in Providence, Rhode Island, when he came up from Morehouse to be a graduate student. I was some years after that we actually started dating. And by the way, he got his PhD in 69, not 70, because it was 2 weeks after that we got married. So this year is 54 years. Wow. I think when we were dating, a lot of our dates were actually in the laboratory, because that was the only time that I could get to see him. At Brown University. So I'd go to the lab, and I learned a lot about Drosophilus melanogaster, whatever the fruit fly was, and what he was doing to these fruit flies. I mean, it was just incredible. But he has always had a very, very strong dedication to what he does at Morehouse. And I've always had a lot of tremendous respect for him for that. I remember my nephew, who lives in L.A., calling me one time and saying, "Auntie, I was at the beach, Santa Monica Beach, and these guys walked up to me. They were wearing Morehouse shirts. And I said, 'Hey, do you know my uncle, J.K. Haynes?' And they were just unbelievable. My nephew had to call me and tell me that all of these students were just saying wonderful things about J.K., and I think that's true everywhere. It's been a pleasure to see what he's done for students. I'm very, very proud of the work that he's done. I've had to make tremendous sacrifices for that work. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I think the work that he's done is very important. And when I look at these young men and their accomplishments, it's just awesome. It's a tremendous thing. So, yeah, that's the toast. The rest of them can roast.
All right. We are now going to move over to the family of Dr. David Cook.
All right, good evening. We were not prepared for this. Thank you for letting us know in advance. Well, I met Dr. Cook. He married my aunt, and I remember them saying that he was Dr. Cook from Morehouse, and I expected this uptight, sort of guy coming in, and I was like, oh, she's marrying a doctor from Morehouse. And then Dr. Cook comes in, and now we call him Grandee, with this laugh. I wish I could do it, and you all probably know it when you hear it. It is the funniest thing. And I was like, who is this and where did he come from? But anyway, we love him. He's part of our family. And the funniest thing about him is that with the little kids, he's always our sons and grandsons. He's like, all right, boy, you cruising for a bruising. Get over here. You know, and so he has that seriousness, but they love him. He's a lot of fun. And just we're glad to have you in our family. So love you.
And to add to that, yes, just hearing David's accomplishments and what all he has done, you know, we see a different side at home. I'm not sure if you're aware, but he watches the most ratchet reality TV shows I have ever seen. And I used to hang with him and watch some of the shows. And then he would call and say, Kim, are you watching Yandy and Mendeecees getting married? And I'm like, no, I'm not watching that. And he's like, you gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. So yeah, we see a different side of him, but that's why we love him, because he's so well-rounded and he's just so much fun, and we love him and just so happy to have him a part of our family. So yes, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So sitting here and hearing the tone of how my grandee, Dr. Cook, used to talk to some of his students, it's safe to say I got some of that same treatment back at home. So, cause when I was a baby, little infant, I used to suck my fingers and just sit on the couch watching Law and Order. He just look over at me, Trey, take your finger out your mouth, boy. And then he would scare me by putting hot sauce on my fingers. This is a true story, hot sauce. And what else? And then also, if I was ever acting up, he'll say, all right, now Trey, I'll go get that yay. It was a little skull, scary skull looking, and he'll just show it to me, strike fear in me. So, but, I just love him because he always keeps a short leash on me. He doesn't let me do anything too crazy. And the one advice he told me before I headed to college, as I graduate on Saturday, but the one thing he told me, thank you. But the one advice he told me was, when you work a little, you can play a lot. And so as I graduate, those are the words that stuck with me all 4 years. So I just want to say thank you.
Any other family members who would like to say anything? Okay, we'll move on down the program.
All right. Well, thank you. Can we give another round of applause for all the family members? That was beautiful.
Wait, actually, 1 second.
We have one more. All right, let's go.
I met Dr. Cook, 2007, and he adopted me into his family right away. We worked together on one of the research programs called the Howard Hughes program. And every morning, he would seek me out, Deb! And we'd start our meetings, and we'd make plans to see how we could best assist these young men in finding their way through their research experiences. And I want to say that not only was he is a scholar and a gentleman, but he was just so warm, so kind, so welcoming, and he allowed me the freedom to try things that I came to Morehouse to try. And J.K. Haynes, when I met Dr. Haynes, who calls me Little Debbie Do. And when I first met him, I'm thinking, I'm about 105 years old, but he's calling me Little Debbie, but it was so endearing. And he, as well, allowed me to try some of the things, working in the greenhouse, using the plants for research experiments. And I just appreciated that they gave me the room to work with the students and to grow. And I wasn't a PhD, so that really meant a lot to me, that they trusted in the journey and the mission that I had. So I want to say thank you both for the experience that I had at Morehouse College.
Thank you so much for that. All right, we're going to move down with the program. Our next group to provide some roasts and toasts would be any faculty members. Any faculty members from Morehouse College who would like to say a few words. Dr. Bloomer.
You know, we'll start this out. So I joined the faculty at Morehouse in 1990. J.K. Haynes was the chair then. David was one of the faculty members. David was, I'm going to start with the toast first. David was my mentor all through my time at Morehouse. And you all know what it means to be a minority. I didn't until I came to Morehouse. But David took me under his wing. Every time I thought I understood something, David explained to me that I didn't really understand it. And he explained the political and social underpinnings of everything that was going on that made my path so much easier. And now I won't say it was an easy path, and I wasn't taking tests, but David, you made it possible. You really did. Later on in my career at Morehouse, and by the way, I am the chair of the department now. But that's a double-edged sword. Both of these gentlemen have previously been chairs of the department, and you can see they've lost their hair just like me. Yeah, I know. But Robert, you're no advertisement for your skills.
Whoa. Was that a dig? Are we digging? You don't want to do that.
No.
All right.
Keep
the main thing the main thing. All right.
This is on a higher level.
Listen, you ain't had to deal with this version of me now. I'm not in your classroom no more. I get in your ass. Okay. All right. Let's stay on track.
We're going to take this to a higher level.
Oh, that was another dig. Oh, that's where we going with this. Oh, man, so we about to break Kendrick Lamar and Drake up in here. Is that what we doing? Is that where we going?
No.
Talk your stuff.
J.K. and David mentored me at another point in my career. It was when I went up for full professor. And of course, I was immediately denied, and I appealed it, and the two of them would sit down with me probably on a weekly basis and say, Larry, you're going to go in, but don't call them stupid. Oh, I remember this. And yes, I did get promoted, and then got the Teacher of the Year award because J.K. nominated me, all in the same semester. But they're the reason that I'm still here. They really are. They really are. So that's the toast. Oh, but the roast. Those of us on the faculty get to see the skeletons as well as the trophies. And David, you're first. David and I used to go out to lunch with Errol Archibald almost on a weekly basis. I felt we were pretty close. We would solve the world's problems, but that also meant that sometimes we didn't disagree. And I remember at one point, a group of faculty came to me and said, Larry, David's going to go and hire this fella, and we can't have that. We've got to have a search. And David will remember this. And I agreed with them. I said, yeah, we've got to have a real search. We're not going to just hire people. And so I agreed with them, and I expressed my opinion. I said, no, we're not going to do it this way. We're going to do it the other way. We're going to do it the right way. Well, David was livid. Oh, he was livid. Now, he didn't swear at me. He didn't, because I wasn't a student. I was already a colleague. But he did come up to my office, because I shelter in the third floor of Hope Hall, and he came into my office, which he was always welcome to, and he shut the door. Oh, and the volume went up. The volume really went up. And, I probably apologized 10 times. Said, but David, it's the right thing. And it wasn't until later that we agreed, but oh boy, was there a boiling point. There really was a boiling point. David and I both remember this. But it was okay. It was okay. And JK, oh goodness. You know, JK seems really robust. He seems robust to me now. But a few years back, he was starting to have some issues. And when he started having those issues, he couldn't even come into the department. And I was chair then, too. This was just before the pandemic and before, you know, before some issues, other issues. JK couldn't come in, and I realized, you know, we've got to make sure the department's covered. And I initiated him being put on leave. And JK gets on the phone immediately to me. He said, Larry, I understand you're trying to push me out of the department. Remember this just as clear as day. And of course, that was not my intent. But I understood JK, you know, thinking it that way. I'm pleased that you're back, JK. But not for too long. That was for you, Carolyn. No, these two gentlemen are not perfect, but none of us are. And, you know, looking across this room and the legacy they've created, that's why I came to Morehouse in the first place.
You want some of this? You want some of this? Get some of this. I'll try. Get some of this. Man, I wish that I knew that we would be part of the roasting and toasting. I would have written, I don't know, something. But so I'm just thinking of things that come to mind. Imagine walking into JK's office, not in the JK's office, it was the Department of Biology office, and the sound was just, Uncle JK, Kimmy, Uncle JK, Renee. Just the constant back and forth between JK and the ladies that worked in that department. It was enough entertainment to keep you entertained the entire day. And what is there to say about David? You know, as a former student, it was a while before I actually called them JK and David. It took me a while to get past the trauma. I wasn't, you know, Robert was telling you about his grades. You don't want to know my grades in JK's class and in David's class. I think I did pass JK's the first time, but not so much with David. And what can I remember? I mean, roasting. That's what happened with us when we were in these classes. They roasted us constantly. I mean, you walk in, and Morehouse men have the most unbridled sense of confidence. I can look around the room and I can see it still, and it was completely unearned. Completely unearned. We thought our shit didn't stink. But we found out. I can hear David asking students, where you get your PhD from? When they would ask some of those random ass esoteric questions. And he would throw words around that sometimes didn't go where they were supposed to go. I mean, plethora, inculcate. I don't know, anybody else was inculcated? I'm pretty sure I was inculcated at least once. Yeah. So, I mean, since I was 16 for him, and maybe I was a little bit older when you came when I was a student, just like Larry and the rest of them. When I was a student is when you arrived, but the physiology class, the cell biology class, left me with a full understanding of what it really meant to be a student. Okay, the difference between pursuing trivia and understanding how life occurs at whatever level we'll talk, whether it's the macro level in physiology or at the cellular level or in subcellular level in cell biology. I am forever indebted to both of you. I don't know what I mean, we're doing this like y'all are going somewhere, but I have both of your numbers. and if they've both been a mentor to you, it's twice that for me. Okay, and I'm still leaning, and I do not plan to stop anytime soon. I thank you. I appreciate you. Okay, and I hope that I'm roasting my students just as good as you roasted us. I try hard. They don't have the resiliency that we had to deal to.
Go on and say it. These new students soft as baby poop. These new students soft as a wet diaper.
Man, look, we were roasted at 475
Absolutely.
degrees. If we roast at 220, we gotta smoke these students.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if we
For
roast
any students
them,
that's in the room, yeah, we talking about your ass.
Oh my God. So I mean, we do the best that we can with what we have, but we absolutely expect the same quality of learning, and I hope that when 50 years from now, when students are talking about the legend of Handy, they say some of the same things that these guys say about you here tonight. And if that happens, I think I could thank both of you for that legacy. Thank you.
Any other faculty members? Any other faculty members? And some of those words were ontology and phylogeny,
Yes.
if you want to remember.
The aegis.
Okay. Yes.
The
Yes.
aegis.
Yes. Recapitulates.
Yes.
Recapitulates.
All right. So we are now going to move on with the program. The next.
Oh, wait.
Oh, we have one more.
Oh,
Please,
yes.
and please
yes,
introduce yourself.
Good.
Name,
Yes. We're waiting for you.
affiliation, and how you know these gentlemen.
So I'm Wallace Reef, biology professor, class of 1996. I'll say I was chemistry when I came to Morehouse. I was chemistry major, and so I'm in the biology department now. Chemistry calls me a traitor, but I kind of, when I interviewed for the position at Morehouse, I had never been taught by any of the people in biology, and I think that's why they gave me the job. Because unlike Jeffrey, they didn't know what they were getting into. And so, I want to talk about two things. One, J.K. Haynes knew me before probably I was even born. His long family roots. My grandmother lived on Hope Street, about a tenth of a mile from Brown University, and he was very well acquainted with my family. And I'll say, I guess this will be the toast part. J.K. kind of, in many ways, without even kind of knowing about it, really changed the direction of my life, and I'll say how. So one, he, before I was going to Morehouse, I had applied as an accounting major, and my mother, kind of in April or something like that, says, hey, there's a science program that's going on over the summer. Why don't you apply? It's like, well, I'm not a science major. It's like, well, just do it. And so I applied to the Summer Science Institute. One, I met lifelong friends there, including Dr. Handy there. And somehow, I don't know if Story's in the room, but somehow Troy's story inspired me to become a chemistry major, which, if anyone knows, is a miracle in and of itself.